everyone, welcome to the gluten-free stitching cafe. Today I'm going to show you how to make some Mandarin beef teriyaki. This is a really yummy meal. This actually tastes very restaurant-like. You have an option of sides. If you want to do rice, you can do rice. You can also do any kind of pasta you want, or you could eat it all by itself. You don't have to have it on a carbohydrate. I really prefer rice, so back here I have a pan with some water in it all ready to go for when I'm ready to start that. You also have an option of beef for this meal. You can use top round like I am using. Here I have about 2 pounds of chopped up top round. You can also use a flank steak or a beef shank or any kind of beef you have. You could even use a roast, I suppose. This is the meat I had in my freezer, so this is the one I'm going with. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to fry this in some oil on the pan, and I think my pan is pretty well heated, so I'm going to go ahead and get my meat in the pan and get that frying. So you want to get this nice and seared. I'm going to go ahead and lower my heat just a bit because I don't want this to cook too harshly and start to burn on the bottom. This meal looks a little bit complicated. It's actually very simple to make, so I hope you won't be intimidated by the step-by-step and by all the raw meat, because usually this would have scared me when I was younger, but now I know that this is actually a really quick meal. It just takes a tiny bit of prep work. I've already done the prep work. I have all of my ingredients already set aside to where this will be really easy for me to just do one ingredient at a time. But other than just a little tiny bit of prep work and cutting the meat, it is super easy to make this meal. I hope you'll give this a try. I am very big on quick, easy meals. They are my favorite kind. I have been more experimental in the past and spent hours in the kitchen. I think there was one meal I made. It was like a pork and apple, it was like a shepherd's pie, something like that, and it took me about 4 hours to make. And by the time I was done with that, I said, I do not think I will ever make this meal again, because it took so long and the meal was totally gone. Like, the pan was empty in about 15 minutes, and so I said, this is not worth it. So after that, I really decided to go with some quick and easy meals that taste really good. Every once in a while, if I'm really craving something special, I'll spend a little bit longer, but I'm very much into the quick meals and the gourmet ones that taste like I spent a lot longer on them. This is one that kind of falls into that category. I am making between 6 and 8 servings, so if you do not want to make this much, cut all of these ingredients in half, and I will alter the ingredient list down below so you can do this easier. But this is what I did. I took 2 cans of Mandarin oranges and set them aside. I did not get rid of the juice. I drained the juice, and I have that reserved and set to the side as well. So this is going to cook for a little bit. I'm not going to bore you with all the minute-by-minute process on that. I'm going to go ahead and cut ahead to when this is a lot more cooked than it is now, and then I'll show you what needs to follow after that. I'll see you in a bit. Alright, as you can see, my meat is browning up really nicely. It's not going too fast or too hot. It's not scorching, it's not burning. This is exactly what I wanted. But there is some of this extra liquid that I'm going to be pouring out of here. I do not want all of this extra, you could call it soup, I suppose, from the blood in the meat. So I will be getting some of that out. But before I do that, I thought I would go ahead and give you one more pointer, because it is a necessary one. When you have your reserved mandarin orange juice, you are going to want to take 2 to 4 tablespoons of this and set this aside also. So not only set aside your remaining juice that you've drained from the cans, you also want to take a separate 4 tablespoons out of this, and we're going to mix that in with some cornstarch. So I'll explain that as I go, but just make sure you don't use all of your mandarin orange juice when we dump our ingredients later on. So about now, I'm going to go ahead and start heating this water so that I can get my rice going. With this being a 6 to 8 servings, I am making 3 cups of rice, which is 6 cups of water, 3 cups of rice. I don't mind having a little extra just in case I want to make some rice latkes later on. That's great. I can just put some in the refrigerator and pull that out for a different ingredient or different recipe that calls for pre-cooked rice. So I'm never nervous about cooking just a little bit extra rice. This meat is really nicely browning here. What I'm going to go ahead and do is going to continue on with what I was explaining before. I'm going to take 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and combine that with the 4 tablespoons of the mandarin orange juice I set aside. And I'm just going to mix this together. Mix it, whisk it, you know. And I'm going to set this aside for later. Okay, my meat looks really well done, so I'm going to go ahead and add my first ingredients. I'm going to add in 1 cup of soy sauce. And I use gluten-free soy sauce. This is my favorite brand, is Keilbasa. And I usually use the 50% less sodium because there is so much salt in this stuff. You can cut that down. And my water for my rice is really getting antsy here, so I'm going to hurry up and do this. So that's 1 cup of the soy sauce, 4 tablespoons of honey, the reserved mandarin orange juice, and I'm going to also add in 3 teaspoons of ground ginger and 2 teaspoons or 2 cloves of minced garlic. So let's stir that all together. And we are going to cover this and let this cook at a low simmer for 5 to 10 minutes. And while we are letting that happen, I'm going to get this rice cooking. This kitchen already smells really, really good. It smells very much like a teriyaki restaurant. And this is starting to simmer, so just a little bubble here or there. Now I'm going to go ahead and get some vegetables cooking here. This is going to do its thing. I'll see you in a bit when it's time to add our last ingredients to this skillet. Okay, you guys, my rice is just a few minutes out from being done. My vegetables are steaming nicely. I'm just going to go ahead and finish adding the last couple ingredients to this sauce here. Oh, it smells so good in this kitchen right now. Can you smell that? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have mixed, as I showed you before, the cornstarch, 2 tablespoons cornstarch, and the 4 tablespoons of the mandarin orange juice. Going to get that all liquefied again, and I'm going to add that to my saucepan, skillet, whatever this thing's called. And I'm actually going to get my spatula. Going to stir this up, and it says, the recipe says, to cook it for about 2 minutes, stirring it nicely and easily, and this should thicken the sauce. Okay, so that is thickening nicely, as you can see. The last thing I'm going to do before this is all ready to plate is I'm going to take those mandarin oranges, I'm going to pour those in and stir it all up. Now you can break them up just a bit if you prefer. I'll break up some and leave some larger pieces as well. Just the stirring process ends up breaking them up a little bit more. So I'm not really too worried about it. I'm going to let this cook just another minute, but didn't I tell you how easy this was? It is such an intimidating looking meal, but it's so simple to accomplish. I hope you'll give it a try. I hope you'll let me know how you like it if you try it. Thanks for visiting me in my kitchen today, and for stopping by the Stitching Cafe. Until I see you next time and bring you more tasty food meals and ideas, hacks and knacks and snacks and such, have a fantastic day. I'll see you later, and bon appetit.